the shattered crown. Welcome to the beginning. Welcome to my channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing stories. Today, we begin an epic tale of betrayal, revenge, and forbidden love. This is the story of a princess who lost everything, only to rise as a queen who would make her enemies tremble. The night everything changed. The crystal chandeliers of the Crimson Palace sparkled like 1,000 stars. Princess Lyra Ashbourne stood in the grand ballroom, wearing a gown of midnight blue silk that made her look like a piece of the night sky itself. Tonight was supposed to be the happiest night of her life. Tonight, she would celebrate her engagement to Prince Damien of the Golden Realm. Lyra was 23 years old, with long auburn hair that fell in waves down her back and emerald green eyes that sparkled with kindness. Everyone in the kingdom loved her. She was known for her gentle heart and fair judgment. Her father, King Robert, always said she would make a perfect queen one day. "You look beautiful, sister," a soft voice said behind her. Lyra turned to see her younger sister, Elena. Elena was 19, with the same auburn hair but colder blue eyes. She wore a dress of pale pink, and she was smiling. But something about that smile made Lyra feel uncomfortable, though she pushed the feeling away. "Thank you, Elena," Lyra said warmly, taking her sister's hands. "I'm so happy you're here to share this moment with me. I wouldn't miss it for the world," Elena replied, squeezing Lyra's hands a bit too tightly. The grand celebration. The ballroom was filled with nobles from every corner of the kingdom and beyond. Prince Damien stood near the throne, looking handsome in his royal uniform. He had dark hair, sharp features, and a charming smile that had won Lyra's heart 2 years ago, or so she thought. The music began, and Damien walked toward Lyra, extending his hand. "May I have this dance, my future wife?" Lyra placed her hand in his, feeling the shattered crown. Welcome to the beginning. Welcome to my channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing stories. Today, we begin an epic tale of betrayal, revenge, and forbidden love. This is the story of a princess who lost everything, only to rise as a queen who would make her enemies tremble. The night everything changed. The crystal chandeliers of the Crimson Palace sparkled like 1,000 stars. Princess Lyra Ashbourne stood in the grand ballroom, wearing a gown of midnight blue silk that made her look like a piece of the night sky itself. Tonight was supposed to be the happiest night of her life. Tonight, she would celebrate her engagement to Prince Damien of the Golden Realm. Lyra was 23 years old, with long auburn hair that fell in waves down her back and emerald green eyes that sparkled with kindness. Everyone in the kingdom loved her. She was known for her gentle heart and fair judgment. Her father, King Robert, always said she would make a perfect queen one day. "You look beautiful, sister," a soft voice said behind her. Lyra turned to see her younger sister, Elena. Elena was 19, with the same auburn hair but colder blue eyes. She wore a dress of pale pink, and she was smiling. But something about that smile made Lyra feel uncomfortable, though she pushed the feeling away. "Thank you, Elena," Lyra said warmly, taking her sister's hands. "I'm so happy you're here to share this moment with me. I wouldn't miss it for the world," Elena replied, squeezing Lyra's hands a bit too tightly. The grand celebration. The ballroom was filled with nobles from every corner of the kingdom and beyond. Prince Damien stood near the throne, looking handsome in his royal uniform. He had dark hair, sharp features, and a charming smile that had won Lyra's heart 2 years ago, or so she thought. The music began, and Damien walked toward Lyra, extending his hand. "May I have this dance, my future wife?" Lyra placed her hand in his, feeling the warmth of his touch. They moved across the marble floor in perfect harmony. Everyone watched them with admiration. They looked like the perfect couple, destined to unite 2 great kingdoms. "Are you happy, Lyra?" Damien asked, his voice smooth as honey. "I am," Lyra answered, looking into his dark eyes. "I cannot wait to start our life together." Something flickered in Damien's eyes, something cold, but it was gone so quickly that Lyra thought she had imagined it. As the dance ended, trumpets sounded. It was time for the toast. King Robert stood from his throne, holding a golden goblet. He was a strong man with gray hair and a kind face, though age was beginning to show in the lines around his eyes. "My beloved subjects," the king's voice boomed across the hall. "Tonight, we celebrate not just an engagement, but the future of our kingdom. My daughter Lyra will marry Prince Damien, and together they will bring peace and prosperity to our lands." Everyone raised their glasses. Lyra lifted hers, smiling at her father. But as she brought the goblet to her lips, she noticed Elena watching her with strange intensity. The king drank deeply from his cup. Then his face changed. His eyes went wide with shock. His hand clutched at his throat. "Father!" Lyra screamed, dropping her glass. King Robert fell to his knees, gasping for air. His face turned an awful shade of purple. Guards rushed forward, but it was too late. The king collapsed on the floor, convulsing. The accusation. Chaos erupted in the ballroom. People screamed and ran in every direction. Lyra rushed to her father's side, tears streaming down her face. "Help him! Someone help him!" she cried. The royal physician pushed through the crowd. He examined the king quickly, then his face went pale. "Poison," he announced. "Nightshade poison in his wine." Lyra's blood ran cold. "No. That's impossible. Who would?" "Seize Princess Lyra." Elena's voice cut through the noise like a knife. Lyra looked up in shock. Her sister stood on the steps to the throne, pointing at her with a trembling hand. Tears ran down Elena's face, but her eyes were hard as stone. "What are you saying?" Lyra whispered. "I saw you."
Elena cried.
"I saw you put something in father's cup when no one was looking. You poisoned him." "That's a lie," Lyra shouted, but guards were already moving toward her. Prince Damien stepped forward. His face was twisted with what looked like anger and disgust. "I saw it too," he said coldly. "I didn't want to believe it, but Elena is right. Lyra, you poisoned your own father." Lyra felt the world spinning. This couldn't be happening. "Damien, please. You know me. I would never." "Take her to the dungeons," Damien commanded. The guards grabbed Lyra's arms roughly. She struggled against them, screaming her innocence. "I didn't do this." "Elena, why are you lying?" "Damien, please believe me." But no one listened. As they dragged her away, Lyra saw Elena and Damien exchange a look. In that brief moment, she saw the truth. They were smiling. Small, secret smiles that told her everything. This was planned. They had worked together to destroy her. The cold dungeon. The dungeon beneath the palace was dark and cold. Water dripped from the stone walls, and rats scurried in the corners. They threw Lyra into a cell and locked the heavy iron door behind her. Lyra sat on the cold floor, her beautiful gown now torn and dirty. She couldn't cry anymore. She was in shock. Her own sister had betrayed her. The man she loved had betrayed her. And her father was dying, maybe already dead. Hours passed. Maybe days. Lyra couldn't tell in the darkness. She heard footsteps approaching and looked up to see a familiar face. It was Marcus, the captain of her personal guard. He was a loyal man of 40 years, with gray streaks in his brown hair and honest eyes. "Marcus," Lyra whispered. "Please, you have to believe me. I didn't do this." Marcus looked around carefully, then knelt by the bars. "I know, princess. I know you didn't." Relief flooded through Lyra. "Then help me. Tell them the truth." Marcus shook his head sadly. "No one will listen, princess. Elena has convinced everyone. She has produced witnesses who claim they saw you buying poison in the market. She has letters she says you wrote, planning to kill the king. But those are lies. Forgeries." "I know," Marcus said. "But Elena is clever. She has been planning this for a long time. And Prince Damien supports every word she says." Lyra gripped the bars. "Why? Why would they do this?" Marcus took a deep breath. "Power, princess. Your father is dying. The physicians say he has only days left. Elena wants the throne, and Damien wants the kingdom. With you dead, Elena becomes the heir. She will marry Damien, and together they will rule. The truth hit Lyra like a physical blow. All this time, while she had been kind to her sister, Elena had been jealous. While she had loved Damien, he had been using her. They had played her for a fool. They will execute me, Lyra said quietly. Tomorrow at dawn, Marcus confirmed. I am sorry, Princess. The desperate escape. Lyra sat in silence for a long moment. Then she looked up at Marcus with new determination in her eyes. Help me escape. Marcus hesitated. Princess, if I do this, I will be branded a traitor. They will hunt me down and kill me. I know, Lyra said, and I have no right to ask this of you. But Marcus, if I die, Elena and Damien win. They will rule through lies and murder. The kingdom will suffer under their cruelty. Marcus studied her face. Then he nodded slowly. You are right, Princess. You are the true heir. The kingdom needs you. He pulled out a key and unlocked the cell. We must move quickly. I have bribed the night guards, but we don't have much time. Lyra followed Marcus through the dark passages of the dungeon. They climbed stairs and moved through corridors she had never seen before. Secret passages built into the palace walls used in times of war. They were almost at the exit when they heard shouts behind them. The prisoner has escaped. Find her. Run, Marcus shouted. They burst out into the night air. The palace grounds were in chaos. Guards with torches were spreading out, searching everywhere. Marcus led Lyra to the stables where 2 horses waited, already saddled. Where will you go? Marcus asked as he helped her mount. The Shadowlands, Lyra said. It was the only place she could think of. The Shadowlands were a dark forest to the north, filled with dangers. No one from the kingdom ever went there. It was the perfect place to hide. That's madness, Princess. No one survives the Shadowlands. Then I will be the first, Lyra said firmly. An arrow whistled past her head. The guards had spotted them. Go! Marcus shouted, slapping her horse's flank. The horse took off at a gallop. Lyra held on tight, riding through the palace gates and into the night. Behind her, she heard Marcus fighting, buying her time with his life. Tears streamed down her face as she rode, but she didn't look back. Into the darkness. Lyra rode for hours until her horse was exhausted and foam covered its sides. The landscape had changed from the gentle hills of her kingdom to darker, wilder terrain. Twisted trees reached up like skeletal hands, and fog rolled across the ground like a living thing. She had reached the Shadowlands. Her horse refused to go further, rearing and whinnying in fear. Lyra dismounted and let the animal go. It ran back the way they had come, leaving her alone. Lyra walked into the forest on foot. Branches grabbed at her torn dress. Strange sounds echoed through the trees. Eyes watched her from the darkness, though she couldn't see what creatures they belonged to. She was exhausted, heartbroken, and alone. She had lost everything. Her title, her home, her family, her love. All of it was gone, stolen by the 2 people she had trusted most. As she walked, her foot caught on a root. She fell hard, hitting her head on a rock. Pain exploded through her skull. Blood ran down her face, warm and sticky. Lyra tried to get up, but her body wouldn't obey. She was too tired, too hurt. She lay on the cold ground, feeling her strength fading. So this is how I die, she whispered to the darkness. Alone in a cursed forest. Perhaps Elena and Damien were right. Perhaps I am too weak to be queen. Her eyes began to close. The darkness was calling to her, promising rest, promising an end to the pain. Then she heard footsteps. Slow, deliberate footsteps approaching through the fog. Well, well, a deep voice said. What do we have here? A princess, bleeding and broken in my forest. Lyra forced her eyes open. Through the fog and her failing vision, she saw a figure. A man, tall and broad-shouldered, dressed in black. His face was hidden in shadow, but his eyes glowed silver in the darkness like a wolf's. Please, Lyra whispered. Help me. The man crouched down beside her. She could see his face now. He was handsome in a dangerous way, with sharp features, black hair, and those strange silver eyes. A scar ran down his left cheek, giving him a cruel look. "You ask help from me?" the man said, and there was dark amusement in his voice. "Do you know who I am, little princess?"
No, Lyra breathed.
"I am Kale Nightshade," he said, "the monster of the north, the Shadow Duke, the man your father exiled 10 years ago for crimes I didn't commit." Lyra's eyes widened. She had heard stories of Kale Nightshade. They said he had become something inhuman in the Shadowlands. They said he killed anyone who entered his territory. "Then kill me," Lyra said. "I have nothing left anyway." Kale studied her with those silver eyes. "Kill you?"
No, princess.
"I have a better idea." He reached down and lifted her easily into his arms. Despite everything, Lyra felt safe in his strong embrace. She didn't understand why. What do you want?" she managed to ask. Kale looked down at her, and for the first time he smiled. It was a dangerous smile, full of dark promise. "I want revenge against the kingdom that destroyed me," he said. "And you, Princess Lyra Ashbourne, are going to help me get it. But first, we need to keep you alive." As Kale carried her deeper into the Shadowlands, Lyra's last thought before darkness claimed her was strange. She had run from her enemies, only to fall into the arms of a monster. But maybe she thought that was exactly what she needed. A monster to fight monsters. Part 2, Rising from the Ashes. Welcome back to the story. Welcome back to my channel. If you missed part 1, go back and watch it first to understand Lyra's incredible journey. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Now, let's continue our tale of betrayal and revenge. Waking in the monster's lair. Lyra woke to the smell of herbs and smoke. Her head pounded with pain, but when she touched her forehead, she found clean bandages instead of blood. She was lying in a large bed with black silk sheets, in a room lit by dozens of candles. Where was she? The memories came flooding back. The betrayal, the escape, the Shadowlands, and him, the monster of the north, Kale Nightshade. Lyra sat up quickly, then groaned as dizziness washed over her. The room was beautiful in a dark way. Stone walls covered with tapestries showing battles and wolves. A fire crackled in a massive fireplace. Everything was black, silver, and deep red. "You should rest," a deep voice said from the shadows. Lyra's heart jumped. Kale emerged from a corner of the room, holding a cup of something that steamed. In the candlelight, she could see him clearly now. He was tall and powerfully built, with black hair that fell to his shoulders and those unsettling silver eyes. The scar on his cheek made him look dangerous, but there was something magnetic about him. "Where am I?" Lyra demanded, trying to sound brave even though her voice shook. "My fortress," Kale said simply. He walked closer and offered her the cup. "Drink this. It will help with the pain." Lyra didn't take it. "How do I know you haven't poisoned it? I've learned not to trust anyone." Kale's lips curved into a slight smile. He took a sip from the cup himself, then offered it again. "If I wanted you dead, princess, I would have left you bleeding in the forest." That was true. Lyra took the cup and drank. The liquid was bitter but warm, and almost immediately, her headache began to fade. "How long have I been here?" she asked. 3 days, Kale replied, sitting in a chair near the bed. "You had a serious head wound and a fever. My healer worked night and day to save you." 3 days. Lyra's mind raced. By now, Elena would have taken the throne. Damien would be by her side, and Lyra would be declared dead, a traitor who ran away and died in the cursed forest. "My father," Lyra whispered. "Is he dead?" Kale finished.
No.
"But he might as well be. According to my spies, King Robert lives, but he is locked away in the highest tower of the palace, unable to speak or move. The poison didn't kill him, but it destroyed his mind. Your sister claims she is protecting him, but in truth, she is keeping him prisoner." Tears filled Lyra's eyes. Her father was alive but trapped, probably confused and scared, and she couldn't help him. "Why are you helping me?" Lyra asked, looking at Kale with suspicion. You said you want revenge against my kingdom, against my father. Kale leaned back in his chair, studying her. 10 years ago, your father accused me of trying to assassinate him. He said I wanted the throne for myself. It was a lie, planted by his advisors who feared my growing power. But your father believed it or pretended to. He stripped me of my title, my lands, and my name. He sent me here to die. But you didn't die, Lyra said softly. No, Kale agreed. I survived. I built this fortress. I gathered others who were betrayed by the kingdom. Exiles, criminals, outcasts. I became the monster they said I was. He stood and walked to the window. But now, princess, fate has brought me something unexpected. The true heir to the throne, betrayed just as I was. Don't you see? We can help each other. How? Lyra asked. Kale turned back to her, his silver eyes gleaming. You want your throne back. You want justice for what they did to you. I want the kingdom that cast me out to kneel before me. Together we can destroy Elena and Damien. Together we can take back what is ours. Lyra's heart beat faster. The idea was dangerous, maybe impossible. But what choice did she have? She couldn't fight Elena and Damien alone. What do you want from me? Lyra asked carefully. Kale walked back to stand beside the bed. He looked down at her with an intensity that made her skin tingle. When you reclaim your throne, you will clear my name. You will restore my title and lands. And you will rule with me by your side. You want to be king? Lyra asked. I want justice, Kale corrected. And I want the world to know I was innocent. As for being king, he smiled slightly. We can discuss titles later. For now, do we have a deal? Lyra thought about Marcus, who had died helping her escape. She thought about her father, locked away and helpless. She thought about all the innocent people who would suffer under Elena's cruel rule. Yes, Lyra said firmly. We have a deal. Kale extended his hand. When Lyra took it, she felt a shock run through her, like lightning. His hand was warm and strong, and she didn't want to let go. Good, Kale said. Then your training begins tomorrow. The training begins. The next morning, Lyra woke before dawn. A servant had left new clothes for her. Black leather pants, a dark tunic, and boots. Nothing like the silk gowns she used to wear. These were clothes for fighting. Kale was waiting for her in the courtyard. The fortress was enormous, built into the side of a mountain. Lyra could see the Shadowlands stretching out below, dark and mysterious. A princess is not a warrior, Kale said as she approached. We need to change that. For the next weeks, Lyra's life became a blur of training. Kale taught her to fight with swords, daggers, and her bare hands. First, she was terrible. She had bruises everywhere and could barely lift her arms at the end of each day. Again, Kale would say, never showing mercy. Your enemies won't go easy on you. Neither will I. But Lyra didn't quit. Every time she fell, she got back up. Every time she failed, she tried again. The rage inside her, the burning need for justice, kept her going. Kale was a harsh teacher, but he was also patient in his own way. He showed her where to strike to cause the most damage. He taught her to read her opponent's movements. He made her faster, stronger, deadlier. You're getting better, he admitted one evening after a particularly brutal training session. They were both breathing hard, covered in sweat. I have a good teacher, Lyra said, managing a smile despite her exhaustion. Something shifted in Kale's expression. For a moment, the hard mask he always wore slipped, and Lyra saw something else in his eyes. Respect, maybe even admiration. Come, he said, his voice softer. Let me show you something. He led her to the highest tower of the fortress. From there, they could see for miles. The Shadowlands below, and in the distance, the lights of the Crimson Kingdom. That was my home once, Kale said quietly. I had a family, a mother who loved me, friends I trusted, and your father took it all away with a lie. Lyra looked at him, really looked at him. Behind the monster, behind the feared Shadow Duke, was a man who had been hurt just as she had been hurt. "I'm sorry," Lyra said. "I'm sorry for what my father did to you. If I had known." "You were just a child," Cale interrupted. 13 years old when it happened. "This isn't your fault, Lyra." It was the first time he had used her name without her title. Somehow, that small thing made her feel closer to him. "But I can make it right," Lyra said. "When I take back the throne, I will give you back everything you lost." Cale looked at her, and in the moonlight, his silver eyes seemed almost warm. "You really believe you can do it, don't you? Take back the throne from your sister." "I have to believe it," Lyra said. "Because if I don't, then Marcus died for nothing. My father suffers for nothing. And Elena and Damien win." Cale nodded slowly. Then he did something unexpected. He reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. The touch was gentle, so different from the harsh warrior who trained her every day. "You're not the scared princess I found in the forest anymore," he said. "You're becoming something else. Something dangerous." "Good," Lyra whispered. "That's what I need to be." They stood there in silence, looking out over the land. And Lyra realized something that both thrilled and terrified her. She was developing feelings for Cale. This man who was supposed to be a monster was becoming the only person she trusted in the world. The dark secret revealed. 2 months into her training, Lyra was exploring the fortress when she found a locked door. She knew she shouldn't open it, but curiosity won. She picked the lock with skills Cale had taught her and pushed the door open. Inside was a library, but not a normal one. The walls were covered with papers, maps, and documents. In the center was a large table with more papers spread across it. Lyra walked closer and began to read. What she found made her blood run cold. These were records, evidence, proof that Elena and Damien had been planning this betrayal for years. But there was more. There were letters from a man named Silas the Dark, a sorcerer who had been banned from the kingdom 20 years ago. The letters revealed a terrible truth. Elena wasn't just power-hungry. She was working with dark magic. Silas had promised her immortality and absolute power if she would help him perform a ritual. A ritual that required the blood of the rightful heir. Lyra's blood. "You weren't supposed to find this room," Cale's voice said from the doorway. Lyra spun around. "How long have you known about this?" Cale stepped into the room, closing the door behind him. "I discovered it a month ago. My spies intercepted one of Silas's letters to Elena." "And you didn't tell me?" Lyra felt betrayed all over again. "I was trying to protect you," Cale said, his voice rough with emotion. "You were already dealing with so much. I didn't want to add this burden." "It's not a burden. It's the truth," Lyra shouted. "Elena doesn't just want my throne. She wants my life. My actual life, Cale. She plans to sacrifice me in some twisted ritual." "I know," Cale said quietly. "That's why we need to move faster than I planned." Lyra looked at the maps on the table. "What is this?" "Our plan," Cale explained, moving to stand beside her. "In 3 weeks, your kingdom will host the Unity Festival. It's when the 5 kingdoms come together to celebrate peace. Elena will be there, officially announcing her rule. Damien will be by her side. And Silas will be hiding in the shadows, waiting to complete his ritual." "So we crash the party," Lyra said, understanding dawning. "Not as yourself," Cale said. "They think you're dead. We use that to our advantage. I've created a new identity for you. Lady Scarlet of the Western Isles. A mysterious noblewoman with wealth and connections. You'll attend the festival as her. Get close to Elena and Damien. The transformation. The next 2 weeks were a whirlwind. Cale's servants transformed Lyra from a princess into Lady Scarlet. They dyed her auburn hair a rich black. They taught her to walk differently, talk differently, and act differently. They gave her elegant gowns in deep reds and purples, nothing like the soft colors she used to wear. Lady Scarlet was everything Princess Lyra was not. She was mysterious, confident, and slightly dangerous. She had a sharp tongue and didn't suffer fools. She was perfect. "Remember," Cale coached her. You are a noblewoman from the Western Isles. Your family made their fortune in trade. You've come to the Unity Festival because you're interested in investing in the Crimson Kingdom. You are curious about the new queen and her consort. Lyra practiced her new accent, her new manners, her new personality. She became Lady Scarlet so completely that sometimes she forgot who she really was. The night before they were to leave for the festival, Cale gave her a gift. It was a necklace with a black stone that seemed to swallow light. It's obsidian, he explained, fastening it around her neck. It will protect you from dark magic. Silas is powerful, but this stone will shield you from his spells. Thank you, Lyra said, touching the stone. Felt warm against her skin. There's something else, Cale said. He looked serious, almost worried. Once we enter that palace, we're in enemy territory. We'll have to be careful. We can't act like we have been here. Lyra understood. You mean we can't act like we care about each other? It would put a target on both our backs, Cale said. If Elena suspects for even a moment that you matter to me, she'll use you against me. And if she discovers who you really are... I know, Lyra said. She stepped closer and took his hands. We'll be careful. We'll play our parts. But Cale, when this is over, when we've won... When we've won, Cale said, pulling her close. I'm never letting you go again. They held each other in the candlelight, knowing that tomorrow everything would change. They were about to walk into the heart of danger, surrounded by enemies who wanted them dead. But they weren't the same people they had been 3 months ago. Lyra was no longer a naive princess. She was a warrior trained by the best. And Cale was no longer fighting alone. He had someone who believed in him, someone worth fighting for. Are you ready? Cale asked. Lyra thought about Elena, sitting on her stolen throne. She thought about Damien, the man who had pretended to love her while planning her death. She thought about her father, trapped and helpless. She thought about justice and revenge. I'm ready, Lyra said, her voice strong and sure. Let's go take back my kingdom. The journey to the festival. The journey from the Shadowlands to the Crimson Palace took 2 days. Cale and Lyra traveled in style, in a black carriage pulled by 4 midnight horses. They had servants, guards, and enough luggage to make Lady Scarlet's arrival impressive. As they got closer to the capital, Lyra felt her nerves growing. The last time she had been here, she had been dragged away in chains. Now she was returning in disguise, ready to face her betrayers. You're quiet, Cale observed. He sat across from her in the carriage, dressed in fine clothes that made him look like a lord instead of an outcast. I'm thinking about what I'll do when I see them, Lyra admitted. Elena and Damien. I want to hurt them so badly, Cale. I want them to suffer the way they made me suffer. And you will, Cale promised. But not yet. First, we gather evidence. We turn their allies against them. We expose their crimes to the world. Then, when they have nowhere left to run, we strike. Lyra nodded. Patience. That's what Cale had taught her. Revenge was a dish best served cold. The Queen's revenge. Welcome to the epic conclusion. Welcome back to the final chapter of our story. If you haven't watched parts 1 and 2, go back and watch them now. This is where everything comes together. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this epic conclusion with your friends. Entering the Lion's Den. The grand hall of the Crimson Palace was more magnificent than Lyra remembered. Crystal chandeliers sparkled overhead. Musicians played beautiful melodies. Nobles from all 5 kingdoms mingled in their finest clothes, laughing and drinking expensive wine. Lyra took a deep breath and stepped through the entrance as Lady Scarlet. Her black hair was swept up in an elegant style. Her dress was deep crimson silk that hugged her curves and trailed behind her like blood. The obsidian necklace Cale had given her rested against her throat, dark and powerful. Lady Scarlet of the Western Isles, the announcer called out. Heads turned. People whispered. Who was this mysterious beauty? Where had she come from? Lady Scarlet smiled. A slow, confident smile that showed none of the terror Princess Lyra felt inside. Cale entered separately as they had planned. He was announced as Lord Raven, a merchant lord from the Northern Territories. He looked devastatingly handsome in black and silver, his long hair tied back, his scar visible and dangerous. Their eyes met across the room for just a moment. Then they looked away, pretending to be strangers. It was harder than Lyra had expected. She wanted to run to him to hold his hand for courage. But she couldn't. Not here. Lady Scarlet, a smooth voice said behind her. Lyra turned and found herself face to face with Prince Damien. Her heart stopped. This was the man she had loved. The man who had betrayed her. He looked the same, with his dark hair and charming smile. But now she could see the cruelty in his eyes that she had missed before.